Welcome to Key Conversations, a Making It in the Music Business podcast. My goal for this podcast is to help you learn from these conversations with both experts and working musicians and serve as a guide to assist your career in the process. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. Let's get going. Welcome back to this musician edition of the podcast, where we are featuring a hardworking musician who's creating their dream career, open to a little guidance, and brave enough to be in my hot seat. Today, we have Lou Soileau, and you can visit his website, musicbylou.com. And Lou is a composer, songwriter, singer, and a retreat music leader. So, Lou, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Cheryl. My pleasure.
So I just want to start by asking you, how long have you been doing music?
Oh, my. Started with the piano back in about the third grade, but been with the guitar since I was an eighth grader. So that would have been 13 years off of 69. So somewhere around, what is that?
Got it?
6 years.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. So I love hearing about long careers, because that's kind of all of our goals. That's my goal, to be a lifelong musician, and you are exactly that, and it's really inspiring to me. So what happens for you? I mean, inevitably, and maybe not inevitably, but inevitably, I feel like we hit a wall. We get stuck. We've reached out to all of our contacts. We've done all the things we know to do. When did that happen to you? Has it happened to you? And how did you get past it?
Wow. That's how many times has it happened to me? Maybe that's the question. You start writing one genre of music or experimenting with it, and that goes nowhere. You leave it. You drop the guitar. You don't drop the guitar. You never do that, because it's just the love of your life. But you quit making the effort to compose and just exist for a little while. I was an engineer in my professional life, so you can get really tied up in the oil and gas business. But then I would come back to it frequently, especially when I was away from the family on trips, things like that. And I came back in a big way in the mid-90s. I was encouraged to put together a first, solo guitar voice CD in about 1999 in support of a ladies' mission overseas. Never had done that before. It was an awesome experience. I can remember, I think I might have written it to you. When I put the CD in the car, as I left the studio, when I put the proof in the car, I had to pull over because it brought tears to my eyes. I'd never thought I sounded that capable, right? That good. But he did a beautiful job, and then he moved to Cincinnati, and so I had to find another engineer. But you run into a wall. You get to the point where you feel like people are not appreciating, and they're not interested, and it gets to you. But there's something that drives you internally to sit down again with paper and pencil and guitar and start over again, or at least it does me. I can't. I've never been able to put my guitar down for long. And if I can't find a guitar, I can blink on the piano. So I have a couple of options. Recently, I'm getting toward the end of my oil and gas career, and I've just, I've run into a wall there. So I said, this is an opportunity to just dive right back in. And our meeting was my first effort there. And you gave me plenty of tips, plenty of ideas. I've maintained communication with some of the folks that were in that seminar, and have just started writing recently. Within the past, say, 6 to 9 months, the request for my music has doubled or tripled, and
wow,
it's just been fun. Yeah.
It adds an extra level of fun when you have requests for what you love.
Well, I've even tried a couple of, I do mostly Christian stuff, but I've tried a couple of secular, I'll call it, non-Christian stuff. And I took Louise, old song, Every Little Breeze Seems to Whisper Louise, and I used it as an intro for a love song based on the chord progression for my wife when we had our 46th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
and I haven't figured out how to print it / publish it. I have to figure the legal mechanics of that, because there's not really a medley, but and it's turned out beautifully. I don't know if I could do it justice, but the melody's fantastic and the words are great. So what can you say? So I've even dabbled outside of Christian.
Amazing. Amazing. And I heard two things in there that really, get me excited for when I run into my walls, which is just being okay that you might be starting over the next time you pick up the instrument. I love that you're like, all right, here we go. I'm going to start from scratch and just pick it up and see what happens.
Blank piece of paper, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, it's inspiring to have a blank. Just because nothing's on that paper doesn't mean there's anything wrong. You get to put something else down, and that's inspiring. And that you are, you got in communication, you went out and like did something, you met new people. I think we are a social species as much as, some of us as musicians like to be with our guitars and our pianos and our loves of our lives, right? But I think ultimately we're still human beings, and that connection can also bring us out of a funk or a dry spell just simply by hearing a new perspective. So I love that you did that.
But that's what music is all about, right? Is being outside of yourself. Right? This is for other people. It's not just for you. You can't sit in a closet and sing to yourself, right? Oh, that sounds lovely. No, you can't do that. You've got to share. You've got to share it with somebody.
Yeah.
Short story. I was in Houston on a business trip. A friend of mine called me up that I'd met a few years ago through one of the retreats, and he talked about a prison retreat coming up. And I said, well, have you got a theme song for it? And he said, no, but this is what we're thinking about. I mean, overnight, I had a simple little 3-chord song named Stay Awake to present to the prisoners. We didn't use it for that retreat, but we've got another one coming up in St. Louis, and I've never been on a distant prison retreat, so we'll give it a try there, I'm sure. But, you never know when the inspiration is going to come. You never know when some word is going to touch you and fill that blank piece of paper.
I love that. I really love that. And it's really great because I do think that you could just write a song and sing it in your closet for yourself. That's not where you and I are. And I think most of the people listening to this are musicians that are either part-time, like, have the day job, but are like really committed to their music careers, or they're figuring out how to transition to full-time music career. Either way, we are making a living full-time creating in some way. And I think that's what we all have in common, and why we're on a podcast or listening to a podcast and doing this work. So yeah, it's to get it out there and connect with people. And I love that. I do hear a complaint from people sometimes, musicians that are saying this thing, and you completely defy it. So I want you to give these people advice. They are the people that are saying, I'm too old to make any difference with my music, or I'm too old to get going in this music business. What would you say to them?
Never too old. Never too old. Never too old. The song that I was thinking about when we spoke earlier was a song called Never Going Back. I wrote it thinking about a friend of mine who just got released from prison after 4 years. It broke her heart to go. It broke her heart while she was there. And I thought about her, and I wrote the song, Never Going Back. And yet I didn't use it with her first. I used it with our prison ministry in our local prison. And they love it because you can see it in their eyes. They don't want to be back. And here I am, 69 years, well, almost 69 this year. And I'm still writing songs that cause people to laugh, like you just did, cause people to sing when they don't normally sing. And they leave the room feeling better than they did when they walked in. Never too old, Cheryl. Never too old. As long as your mind's working, you can write.
I totally, I love that. You guys get that Lou is like an angel out there doing some really cool stuff. So go explore his website. So I want to make sure. So are there any struggles that you're dealing with in the music industry right now? Anything that I could give you a little bit of guidance maybe, or point you in the right direction? Where's somewhere you want to be that you haven't seen show up yet?
Wow. As much as I like to write, and I write thinking of the third party out there, whoever it might be, getting the music from my computer into their ears is the biggest challenge. And I've read and read and read about getting onto playlists and streaming and all that. And where we started a couple of years ago, you and I, was about selling CDs. Where I am today, it wasn't selling CDs. It's getting the music into people's ears. If that turns into money, I'm okay with that. But I would rather it be in their ears. And that's the struggle I have. I can do it 1 on 10, 1 on 1, 1 on maybe as many as 60. But how do I get it into the www, right? How do I get it onto the web so that it reaches some guy in China? Or some lady in Mongolia or Finland,
That's a really great question. You mentioned earlier that you had an engineer. I got that engineer moved away, made your music sound beautiful. So that point of writing the music, getting the actual CD or the files is not the problem, right?
Right.
So the simple answer to me is to send your music to a company like CD Baby is my choice. There are others, TuneCore and blah, blah, blah. And then when you upload, and I could easily over 5 minutes talk to you about how to get the music from an actual CD that's mastered and it's done music up to the www, as you call it. But basically, CD Baby's acting as a distributor. So you upload your music to them and then you say, yes, I want it to go to iTunes International. So you can reach Mongolia and, all those places. And you can I just select the button that says check all the stores. So Amazon, Spotify, blah, 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 like all of the places.
Sure.
And that is, you're selling your CD on CD Baby, aren't you?
And I've checked, check all on those. Yeah. But I haven't. And my biggest problem right now is I haven't put any new work on CD Baby in probably 3 or 4 years. Why? That's probably the rock I ran into more than anything, was just feeling like the reason I put composer or songwriter singer,
yeah,
because I'm less of a singer than I am a songwriter. Okay.
Sure.
And I get very self-conscious about that. And so trying to get it from here to there means going through me.
Got it. Right. Or does it? So okay. So the problem is not distribution. The way you first described it, I thought it was a distribution conversation. No, you got it's everywhere. What you're looking for is someone to be the voice of your songs.
Wouldn't that be nice?
To do the credit, do those songs credit. So that's a totally different conversation, which is amazing. And I know a place on the internet where there are tons and tons of singers that are looking for songs. And the place is called Facebook. And it is, I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but there are so many groups of different songwriters meeting singers. There are also other groups. I'm going to do a little research, and in the show notes for this particular show, I will put together a list of a couple places on the internet where you can say, hey, I'm a songwriter. Would someone want to demo this song? And then we promote it together. That sounds like what you're looking for. And that's something that you don't even need to be in the same city for. You can send them the instrumental track, you send them the lyrics, maybe you send them your vocal on it as like a scratch track.
Right.
And then they re-record the vocal, and then you guys go back and forth, get it mixed. And then you have a partnership and you have someone to help you promote it. And it becomes so much more than just a different voice on the song.
That'd be great.
I love that.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to add that to the show notes.
Okay.
So tell me about the song that we're going to hear at the end of the podcast. What's it called, and what do we need to know about it?
Okay, it is Never Going Back.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, and it's Christian, it's gospel based, but it talks about how I have become a new person, and I have put down my old habits. I've turned away from what got me here, wherever here is, whether it's in prison or whether it's in a box or whether it's in a broken relationship. And I see the change. I like the change, and I'm never going back.
Oh my gosh.
And
I love that.
I wrote this for this lady, primarily.
Yep.
But it worked beautifully for prisoners. And where I used it second was with a group of people who were studying to enter the church. They were Christian, quasi-Christian, non-Christian. They're studying. And that's the same transition. I don't want to go back. I like what I see. I like what I have. I want more of it. And so that's the background on the song.
I love that. And I love that it's such a universal theme that you can apply that to, like you said, a prisoner or someone entering a new religion or someone entering a new relationship or someone entering a new career or someone that's just reaffirming that I am going to be a musician and I am a musician and I'm not going to go back to the days when I wasn't.
So maybe it's my song. Maybe it's I don't want to go back to engineering. Finally, I would rather just focus 100% on music because that's where my heart is, right? That's where my love is. Gosh.
Look at this little realization that we're having over here. This is like therapy now. We're talking about the deep meaning behind the song. You're like, yeah, I wrote this for someone. No, you wrote it for yourself. I love it. I can't wait to hear it. We're going to hear that in just 1 minute. Lou Soileau, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Cheryl. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful to catch up with you. You're such an inspiration. And musicbylou.com, everybody. So go check out all the amazing things that Lou is doing.
Bye-bye.
Please don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube if you like this podcast. Musicians like you keep me inspired and motivated, and for doing that, I'm offering you access to my 7-day challenge, which takes only a half an hour a day and helps you develop a complete set of positive habits for how you work at your career, from goal setting to finances to branding. Get access at inthekey.co/7day challenge. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Key Conversations. The theme song on this podcast was provided by yours truly. If you're interested to find out more about my composing and songwriting projects, go to inthekey.co/Cheryl. If you're a musician looking to get some real results for your music career, then head to inthekey.co/results, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their point-and-click editor. All of the features you can imagine for a possible website are built in. So, because you're a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special month free trial plus 15% off if you do decide to sign up, just for you. Go to inthekey.co/make-a-site to get the offer.
And I like what I see, the Lord's beloved. Look what He's made of me, and I'm never going back. Never going back. No, I'm never going back. He took my anger, and He took my pain. He took my sorrow, let me smile again. I am a sinner, but I have been redeemed. I'm a new creation, take a look at me, and I'm never going back. No, I'm never going back. Never going back. No, I'm never going back. I am a new creation, and I like what I see. The Lord's beloved, what He's made of me. A new creation, and I like what I see. The Lord's beloved, look what He's made of me. And I'm never going back. Ooh, never going back.